understand the story we are about to tell, you first have to understand the silence. The Arctic is not just a place, it is a force. It is a world of white on white, where the wind carves sculptures out of snow and the temperature plunges so low that breath turns to ice in an instant. In this frozen kingdom, life is the exception. The rule is emptiness. For the polar bear, this emptiness is home. They are the wandering kings and queens of the North, built to survive where nothing else can. They are solitary creatures by nature, nomads who drift across the shifting sea ice like ghosts. They do not travel in packs. They do not form tribes. A polar bear walks alone. But every rule in nature has an exception. And sometimes in the vast, shivering cold of the Hudson Bay, a miracle happens that defies everything we know about these solitary hunters. We are taking you to the edge of the world, to the windswept coastlines of Manitoba, Canada. This is the realm of the Western Hudson Bay polar bears, one of the most studied animal populations on the planet. For decades, scientists have watched them, tracked them, and marveled at their resilience. But recently, one female bear changed the narrative. She did something that has left experts baffled and hearts around the world captured. Our story begins in the deep, dark winter, hidden beneath the snow. This is the time of the great sleep for expecting mothers. Buried under feet of drift, in a den carved from the ice itself, a female polar bear waits. Outside, the storms rage. Inside, in the quiet dark, new life enters the world. When spring finally broke the long night, this particular mother, a young bear, strong and entering her prime, punched her way out of the snow. She emerged into the blinding sunlight of the tundra, blinking against the glare. She was not alone. Trotting beside her was a single tiny cub, a fragile spark of life in a landscape that demands toughness. Biologists tracking the population saw them. They noted the pair. One mother, one offspring. It was a standard, healthy family unit. They watched as the mother led her baby toward the coast, teaching it the first lessons of survival. They watched them disappear into the white horizon. Months passed. The seasons turned. The ice melted, forcing the bears onto land for the summer fast. And then, the freeze began to return. When the researchers spotted this mother again, the snow was falling once more. She was walking along the coast, waiting for the bay to freeze so she could hunt seals. But as the scientists looked through their scopes, they paused. Something was wrong with the picture. The mother was there, looking healthy. Her cub was there, grown bigger and stronger. But there was a third shadow in the snow. Trailing behind them was another cub. At first, it seemed impossible. Nature does not work in reverse. A mother does not give birth to a new cub in the middle of a starvation season. Yet the evidence was undeniable. The mother was now guarding two young lives. One was her own flesh and blood. The other was a stranger. This was a confirmed case of adoption in the wild, a phenomenon so rare that, in nearly half a century of watching these bears, it has been seen less than 12.5 times. Consider the risks. For a polar bear mother, energy is everything. Her body is a battery, storing fat from winter seal hunts to survive the lean summer months on land. Every calorie counts. Every movement is a withdrawal from that energy bank. To raise one cub is an exhausting, heroic feat. It requires constant vigilance, warmth, and the hunting prowess to feed two mouths. To take in a second cub, a cub that shares no DNA, a cub that is technically a biological competitor, is a gamble of the highest order. It means she must hunt twice as hard, she must be twice as alert, she must share her body heat with another shivering form during the blizzards. Why would she do it? Science offers us theories, but the truth might be simpler and more profound. We know that female polar bears are driven by fierce maternal hormones. They are maternally charged. When a mother hears the distress call of a lost cub, a sound that is high-pitched and desperate, it triggers a deep, ancient switch in her brain. It overrides the logic of survival. She hears a child in need, and she answers. We do not know where the second cub came from. Perhaps its biological mother was lost to the harsh elements. Perhaps she died, or perhaps the families were separated in a storm or a confusion of bears gathering on the coast. But we know that this orphan was wandering in the tundra, alone, facing a certain death. An orphan cub cannot hunt. It cannot defend itself against the massive males that roam the ice. Without a protector, its time was measured in days. And then it found her. It is easy to project human emotions onto animals, to call it compassion or kindness. Scientists might call it a biological error, a misfiring of instinct. But when you see the footage of the three of them, the mother breaking the trail through the deep snow, the two cubs following in her footsteps, mimicking her stride, it is hard not to see it as a family. This new family is now out there right now on the frozen surface of the Hudson Bay. They are navigating a world that is changing faster than any of us would like to admit. The ice they walk on is forming later each year and melting earlier. The platform they need to hunt seals is shrinking. This backdrop of climate change makes the adoption even more poignant. These bears are under immense pressure. They are fasting longer. They are working harder to survive. And yet, in the midst of this struggle, this mother made space for one more. Survival statistics are grim in the Arctic. Only about half of all cubs survive their first year. The odds for an adopted family are even harder to calculate, but there is a silver lining. By joining this new mother, the orphan has gone from 0% chance of survival to a fighting chance. It has a protector now. It has a teacher. As they move across the drift ice, the mother will teach them both how to wait by a seal's breathing hole, remaining perfectly still for hours. She will teach them how to navigate the pressure ridges and avoid the open water. She has doubled her burden, but she has also doubled the life she is shepherding through the winter. This story captures us because it reflects something we value in ourselves: the willingness to help when it costs us something. It reminds us that even in the coldest, most unforgiving environment on Earth, connection matters. We will continue to watch the data points from the tracker, observing their movement across the sea ice. We will hope for a successful winter of hunting. We will hope that when they emerge again next spring, there are still three of them. But for now, just know that out there in the howling wind, under the dancing lights of the aurora borealis, a mother bear is sleeping with two cubs tucked against her fur. And that in itself is a victory.